The rain was pounding like angry fists against the broken street outside the tiny apartment when Daniel first heard the knock, slow and timid, as if whoever stood there was unsure they even had the right to ask for warmth, and when he opened the door, water rushed in along with the cold night air, revealing a girl standing there completely drenched, her long dark hair clinging to her pale face, her eyes wide and trembling. Not the eyes of a criminal or a threat, but the eyes of someone who had run out of places to go, and for a split second Daniel hesitated because he had learned the hard way to be careful. A single father of a 6-year-old boy living on the edge of everything, money, hope, even stability, his life stitched together by double shifts, skipped meals, and whispered prayers before bed, but something in the girl's voice when she said, "Please, I just need somewhere safe for tonight," broke through all his defenses, and he stepped aside, letting her into the only home he could offer, a home with cracked walls, an old couch with stuffing showing, a flickering light in the kitchen, but also a home filled with love for his sleeping son in the next room. And as the girl warmed her hands in front of the heater and stared at the floor like she was afraid to look at normal life, Daniel handed her a towel and an old hoodie, apologizing that it was all he had, never once suspecting that standing in front of him was the daughter of one of the richest men in the city, a girl who had never known real danger until tonight, who had fled from a luxury car after overhearing something she was never meant to hear, something about power, money, and a deal that involved her like she was a transaction instead of a human being. Yet in this broken little apartment, wrapped in cloth that smelled like laundry soap and hope, she felt safer than she ever had in her father's mansion. And when Daniel's son, Leo, slowly padded out of his room with sleepy eyes and asked, "Daddy, who is she?" Daniel simply smiled and said, "A guest, buddy. Just for tonight." And the girl smiled for the first time, a real smile, because no one had ever called her just a guest before. They called her the rich girl, the spoiled one, the billionaire's daughter, but here she was simply a person. And over the next few hours the three of them shared instant soup, laughed at silly jokes, and even played a board game missing half its pieces, and every time Daniel laughed, the girl felt a strange ache in her chest, realizing that this poor, exhausted man with tired eyes and gentle hands was happier than her powerful father had ever been. And when the night grew quiet and the storm softened to a whisper, she confessed that people were looking for her, powerful people, and that tomorrow might not be safe at all. And Daniel, without a second thought, told her she could stay as long as she needed, because no one, not even a storm made of money and danger, could take away his humanity, and he didn't yet know that his simple act of kindness had just thrown him into the center of a world far beyond his broken wallet, because across the city in a glass skyscraper touched by the sky, security teams were searching for her, detectives were calling, deals were being frozen, stock prices trembling, all because the most important girl in the city had vanished. And by morning a line of black cars silently rolled into Daniel's street, their engines humming with authority and threat, and when Daniel stepped outside, shielding his eyes from the headlights, thinking they had come for unpaid bills or a mistake from the past, he instead saw men in tailored suits step out, scanning his tiny building with disbelief, and then from the center car emerged a tall, powerful man with eyes carved from steel, her father, a billionaire who owned towers and lives. And when he saw his daughter step outside behind Daniel, wearing the same worn hoodie, holding Leo's hand, smiling more genuinely than she ever had in a silk dress, the millionaire froze, because in that moment he realized something he never bought with money: her trust, her safety, her choice. And as she looked at her father and then at Daniel, she said quietly, "He saved me. He didn't even know who I was," and those words carried more power than any deal signed in a boardroom. And instead of punishment or anger, what followed was silence, then respect, then a nod from the richest man in the city to the poorest one. And in the days that followed, Daniel's life began to change. His apartment was repaired, his job replaced with a better one, his son enrolled in the best school. But the most powerful change wasn't the money, it was the bond that formed between a broken father, a lonely daughter, and a world that finally understood the greatest wealth on earth was kindness. And as the girl chose to return every day to the little apartment she had first felt safe in, reading stories to Leo, laughing with Daniel, learning about real life, real people, real love, the city whispered a new legend, not of a millionaire, not of a poor man, but of a night where pure kindness rewrote destiny. And as this story ends, remember this: sometimes one simple act of compassion can change lives forever. So if this story touched your heart even a little, do not forget to show love and support, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share this message of humanity with the world, because who knows, your kindness today might become someone's miracle tomorrow.